Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. I am Janet Gathers, also known as She Gathers Wellness, and today I'm going to be doing I'll say what I eat in a day video. I'm about to do I guess weight loss tips. So for those who follow me when I first started my channel, before I stopped posting for like a whole 2 years, you would know that I lost 100 pounds over a decade ago. So this was 2010 to 2011. I lost 100 pounds. I got way too small. And then I kind of leveled out, and then I had like a little healing crisis a few years back, and I feel like I got a little too small again, and I'm leveling back out again. So I'm about where I like to be at this point. All that to say, I have lost 100 pounds and pretty much kept it off, on top of now being a certified personal trainer, a yoga instructor, a Master Reiki, going through a whole holistic healing journey of my own. I have a bunch of knowledge and experience, trials, tribulations, all those things. I do have a very old video. I think it's like 9 years old on my channel on my weight loss story. So going back to like when I was a preteen and someone giving me diet pills as a child, which I did not know were diet pills at the time. But as you could probably think, having that as your foundation, I had a whole bunch of diet up and downs, fads, and all kinds of stuff that I would never suggest to anyone. So anyways, going through all of that and then coming to the point where I did it successfully in the right way, I just wanted to bring some tips. So I have 18 tips total, and I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time, so we're just gonna jump in. And also a caveat, a lot of people know that I am vegan. I did not go vegan until I think it was 2016 or 17. It was purely, I don't want to say on accident, but it wasn't a conscious like I'm going vegan decision like tomorrow is my last day eating meat. That wasn't what happened. So after I lost weight in 2010, 2011, as I continued to heal my body, I just noticed as there was less junk and debris within me, as I reintroduced some things, it made me feel like shit. Sorry, can I say that on YouTube? It made me feel like crap, or I had some kind of reaction to it, whether it was my skin breaking out or having a whole, not fun bathroom experience, whatever the case may be. So as I started, taking things out and then trying them again, that situation eventually led me to pescatarian, and then eventually led me straight into vegan, because a lot of the things that you can still eat as a vegetarian were the main things that were bothering my system, which is milk, eggs, dairy, cheese, all of those things. And then I wasn't eating the meats, as people call them. For some reason, people don't count seafood and fish as meat, but it's flesh. But anyways, I wasn't eating the pork, chicken, steak, whatever anymore. So if you are a pescatarian that's not eating any of the things that are vegetarian, and you take the pescatarian away, you are vegan. So that is how I became vegan. All that to say, that was like 6 to 7 years after I lost weight. So being vegan has nothing to do with losing weight. There are a lot of unhealthy vegans. There are a lot of very healthy vegans. There are a lot of overweight vegans. So vegan doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, in this country, in America, Oreos are vegan. So you can eat plenty of junk vegan food. You do not need to be vegan to lose weight. If you so choose to go vegan, that would be great, because there's a lot of, side effect health benefits and mental benefits and energy wise benefit, all those things. If someone wants me to do a video on that, I could. But anyways, all that to say, I don't want anyone to say, oh, well, you lost 100 pounds because you're vegan. I was not. Okay. All right, so my first tip that is a weird waist loss, y'all. First of all, let's back up. I'm freezing. It's 55 degrees, and I know to most people they're gonna be like, Janet, it's like a literal blizzard where I'm at. I understand. That's why I left Tennessee, because I don't have time for that. is 55 degrees. I am cold. My fingertips are cold. My toes are cold. Like, I have a heater literally on the other side of this tripod, but I of course can't run it and film this video. Anyways, so I say all that to say that I think my words are like more jammed and stuck and frozen than normal because I already usually have a little bit of verbal dyslexia, but it's a little worse today. So bear with me. My first weird weight loss tip or habit, there we go, that helped me lose 100 pounds was I did not cut carbs. So before I do anything, I do a lot of research. Well, by the time I made it 2010, pre-2010, I did whatever because I was a sheep. I did what everybody else did. If they were like, take this, I was like, yay, give it to me. But by the time I made it to 2010, I was one of those people that I had a notebook for everything. Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna start like clipping stuff and researching and buying books and highlighting, and I got tabs in the book and stuff folded and notes everywhere. So I knew, even though I was not certified in personal training or nutrition or any of that at that time, that carbs are our body's first, source of fuel. So we don't need to cut carbs. We need to be mindful of the carbs we eat. So I'm not going to lump in a piece of wheat bread or jasmine rice in the same category I do a cookie or a piece of cake. Like, cutting carbs for me did not work. And like I said, I did a bunch of fads before. It made me very lumpy. It made me very grumpy. It made me kind of like floaty. It wasn't really dizzy. It was literally like floaty. Like I was outside of my body. Like I need carbs to get through my day. Especially, I feel like for me in the evening, carbs really help me like level out to like rest and go to sleep. So I did not cut carbs. What I did do was be mindful of the carbs that I was eating. So I was not eating a whole bunch of sugars, which break down the body as carbs, and cakes and cookies and chips and all of that. I was eating brown and white rice. I was eating maybe some like tortillas. I was eating like a tortilla to make a burrito, stuff like that, Ezekiel bread. And I was eating the portion that was in alignment with how much weight I was trying to lose. That's also the thing, your portions. Which brings me to my next one, is I made my one portion too. So I was one of those people that had like like a mental, like I felt like I was losing out. Like, oh, everybody else is eating 4 and 5 slices of pizza. They look like this and she's so skinny and da-da-da-da. So if I was going to eat something and I felt like it wasn't enough, I would make it 2 portions. Meaning, so say I had a piece of pizza and I knew this is what was gonna fit in my goals, this piece of pizza. Like I can have this piece of pizza, but I can't have 2 or 3 pieces of pizza. So I would cut the pizza in 2 and I would have 2 pieces of pizza. I don't know why it worked, but it worked. Do what works for you. So I would make my 1 portion 2 just to trick my brain. Next, I started using smaller plates and cutlery. So I noticed that if I had a big plate, I wanted to fill the plate out. Like I wanted my plate to look full. So instead of using like a dinner plate, I would use like, not really the saucer that goes with like a cup of tea, the one that's right outside of that. I want to say it might be like a dessert plate or something like that. I don't know. So not the plate and not the plate, the one in the middle. I would use that. And then sometimes I would also use little dainty cute like forks and spoons. That helped, one, also to help me eat slower, because if you don't have a big fork to like shovel, you have to be more mindful. You chew your food longer, it digests a little easier, and you won't have like indigestion problems and that type thing. So I did that. Also, this is a very weird one, and this one goes into my mind trick, because I was addicted to food. Like when you're 100 pounds overweight, there is some type of addiction, whether it's to the food itself, how it makes you feel, something. There's an addiction to something somewhere. So I was addicted to food. Like I could eat a whole pizza or a whole cake or 2 or 3 bags of chips. Like it was wild times. So this next one was number 4. I would pour salt over my food. This is not when I was eating it. I'm not trying to like give myself hypertension. Like if I knew that I was not going to be able to stop myself from going back to finish eating whatever this bad thing was. Now if it's a bunch of broccoli, it didn't matter. But I'm saying when it's the situation where I bought something that I was supposed to have one of, that was going to be my little, like, you can have this one thing because it fits into your goals. If you have this one, but my brain would not let me not go get 2 and 3 and 4, I would pour salt on it so that I wouldn't want it anymore. And I know that is a little wasteful, but when you are at war, you at war. And I was at war, so I had to do what I had to do. There came a point where I just didn't buy it because I knew I couldn't tell myself no until I got to the point where I could like get one thing and then eat the one thing and then send the rest with my husband to work, or freeze the rest and eat it over the next couple months. Before I could get there, this was one of my first things I did. And like I said, I know it sounds crazy. I would literally like pour salt on the food, and I wasn't using pink salt back then. It was like the Morton's. So when it poured out, it literally poured. I would just and be like, well, guess you can't eat that no more. The next thing I would do is drink 1 or 2 cups of water before I ate. So when you are a person that can eat multiple servings of food at one time, your actual stomach muscle is like overgrown, like it's been expanded. So me eating a normal portion, it didn't even feel like a drop in the bucket. Like I felt like I was starving. I knew I wasn't. One, I'm not starving because I have all this excess fat on my body. So there's calories to burn, sis. You're not gonna die. But in my mind, I'm just like, I'm starving. What am I gonna do? So just to fill the space in my stomach, I would drink 1 or 2 cups of water before I even ate, so that after I ate my meal, I would think, oh, I'm full. Like I needed the full filling in my stomach. Like that was my comfort. Like, oh, you feel full. Even though my full before was because I ate 2 pieces. Of course you're full. So I would do that. The next one is I would eat my vegetables first. So when I made my plate, I made my portion, like I told myself I could have as much vegetables as I wanted, and I made them in a helpful way. So I wasn't drenching them in a bunch of butter, and I wasn't doing deep fried cauliflower and all of that. I was doing like steamed or roasted or something like that. And I would get as much as I could. And on my plate, over half the plate would be vegetables, then protein, and then carb. So I would eat my vegetables first, and most vegetables are fibrous. So once you got that water in your stomach and then you eat the vegetables first, like everything is kind of, you know, working in there together to make you feel fuller. So I did that. Next, there was a time where I had to start declining outings. So because I knew that I couldn't, go pour salt on my food, sorry, in public. I mean, I could, but people are gonna be looking like, Janet, you good? Like, why are you pouring salt over this, you know, plate of food? Because I knew I couldn't do that, or I wasn't gonna be able to stop myself. Like we were going to a cookout or a barbecue or something at somebody's house, and it was basically a buffet of food, and just, you know, for several hours, you're just, you know, picking and going and getting. I wasn't going to be able to just tell myself, go get this plate of food and sit down, especially because I've never really been a drinker. I did have like a 1 year, I'm going to say stint where I was a drinker. I've only been drunk one time, and that was enough for Janet. That was the end of Janet's drinking era. But so outside of that, I've never really been a drinker. So while everyone else is drinking and partying, I would eat. So now I'm trying to lose weight and trying to tell myself I can't eat these things, and then I'm slick bored. I don't have, you know, what everybody else has to do. I don't really like to play games, especially, you know, Unos and all that. People get a little too riled up over nothing, and I just don't have energy for it. So because I knew I could not keep myself in line, I decided I just wouldn't go. And I did that for about a year. I missed so many birthdays. I missed a few graduations. But I had to do what I had to do. It was like, it was time for me to be first. And I knew what I could and could not make myself do at the time. So I had to just get in line where I could. The next thing is if I deemed it absolutely necessary, like I promised someone that I was gonna go do something, or it had something to do with I don't know, like a networking event that I was tied to work because I wasn't doing this work at the time, and I had to actually go out, I made sure that I filled up before I left. So I made sure I drank plenty of water and I had my healthy meal before I went, so that when I did go, I only could have enough room to like sample a couple things and let it go. So first I declined things, and then if it was absolutely necessary for me to go, I made sure that I was satiated before I left the house. Next was I had veggies for seconds. So again, my stomach was very expanded, as well as my mind was very tied to eating food. Like that's what I did for comfort, for food, for boredom, anything, celebration, happy, sad, whatever, I was tied to food for me. So for that reason, I always thought I was hungry, but I was really just, muting myself, like dimming whatever feeling or thought, whatever I didn't want to deal with. So I knew at some points I was gonna have to like let myself eat something, but if I was gonna let myself eat something, it was gonna be vegetables. So I told myself, if you're really still hungry or you really think you need something to eat, then go in there and cut up these cucumbers and, eat some cucumbers, or make a little broccoli salad or something like that. And if I didn't want that, then it's like, okay, well, you're not actually hungry. You just want something to eat. I really had to talk to myself like that. Like, oh, well, you're not hungry. This is food. It's food for you to eat. If you were actually hungry, you would just eat this food. You don't want food to eat because you're not hungry. You're really just trying to find something else to do instead of deal with whatever thought or task or whatever the case may be. My next thing was, this one was wild. My next thing was I had to start labeling some things as stolen in my head. Like, if you eat that, you're stealing. And, I'm not a thief, so I wouldn't eat it. So I had to do this because, of course, I was married. I'm married still, thank God. And he wasn't on a weight loss journey. So he had things that were not conducive to Janet losing 100 pounds in the house. And there came a point where I had to tell myself, well, that's not yours. You can't eat that, Janet, because that belongs to Preston. If you eat that, it's stealing. And if you want it, you have to ask for it, because it's not yours, because you told yourself that doesn't belong to you. And if you ask for it, now you're actively going out of your way to eat something you have no business eating. And those few steps, like almost it was the asking more than saying it was stolen, that made my brain like, nah, we're not gonna do that. No. I don't want to have to go ask somebody for something I know I shouldn't have anyway. I'm not doing it. So for me, like I said, very weird, but it worked for me. Next was not weighing often. So a lot of people tell you to like weigh yourself. I wouldn't say do it more than once a week, but some people say, every other day or weekly or da-da-da. I say don't, especially in the beginning, because there's so many things trying to level out that one morning you can wake up 2 pounds under, the next morning you can wake up 5 pounds up. Like it's a wild time. So you linking your whole progress to a number you see on the scale will throw you off. On top of, there'll come a point a little further down the line where you might be going into like a body recomp. So maybe you are exchanging fat for muscle. So your weight could be going up on the scale, but actually visually your body is slimming down. And again, if the only thing you're tied to is when I step on this scale, it needs to say da 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 da, and it doesn't, then it will really discourage you from keeping going. So I would say look at other things as indicators that you're doing well. So maybe buy a pair of pants in a size down and try your pants on every other week to see if do they come up more. Okay, now they're up. Do they button? Okay, can I zip them? Waist beads would be a great thing. I wasn't flower child back then like I am now, so I wasn't into waist beads, but had I been, waist beads are a great way. You can tell if you're bloated, if you actually gain weight, because you can see them move and where they sit day to day, week to week. Also being in tune and conscious of how you feel day to day, how you react to things, how your workouts are progressing, what is easier, what can you do more of, how is your endurance changing, those type things. These are the things we need to be looking at when we're looking at losing weight and getting healthy, as opposed to just the scale. Also, there are some people who may know or may not even know that you have some type of like eating disorder or something like that. Those type people don't need to weigh anyways. I have a couple clients who, one of which is still with me, but they were with me, both of them, for a really long time. The one that is still with me has been with me for, so I've been here like 6 years, so I'm gonna say like 8-9 years. And we weighed her on her first ever like appointment session. She's never been weighed again, because after that point she felt comfortable to tell me what she dealt with, and weighing her she doesn't need to be weighed. She looks great, she takes care of her body, but her and the scale just ain't it. So we don't weigh her. She ain't been weighed in forever. So even when she goes to the doctor, she tells them before she goes in, you can weigh me, I don't want to see it, you don't need to call it out loud, write it on the paper, keep it moving, let's go. Like, it's that type of situation. So between those few situations, just weighing is not the end all be all, so find another way to track your progress. Next up, realizing that it was consistency and sustainability over a quick fix. So people like to do these challenges, or I'm gonna lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, and yeah, you can, you certainly can, but usually the faster and easier it comes off, the faster and easier it comes back. So if you go through a process that is sustainable and you had to work consistently to get to the healthy point, it's usually easier for you to keep it. On top of, you learn the lifestyle habits as well as the things that are keeping you unhealthy, whether it is an emotional distress or a health situation, whatever. You learn all of that on that journey, as opposed to in 2 weeks losing 10 pounds. When you go back to eating whatever, when you stop that grapefruit diet and you go have a chip, you're gonna gain, like, it's all coming back. Like, it's usually just water weight. You're wrecking your heart, and like, it's not worth it. So choose sustainability and consistency over quick fixes. And like I said, I have an old video on here, and you can hear about all the crazy stuff I did, from ally pills to phentermine to all the things that, yeah, I might have dropped a couple pounds, but now you got to deal with heart palpitations or whatever the case may be. It's not worth it. Just do what you know you're supposed to do, and be in it for the journey, whether it's going to take you 6 months, 12 months, whatever, and do that so that when you get there, you can keep it, as opposed to doing something to fit into a dress for someone's wedding, and then you wear the dress, and 2 months later somebody asks you to put that dress on, you can't, because you didn't learn anything, you didn't do what you need to do, you just took a pill or starved yourself or whatever the case may be so you could look good on vacation. Or not worth it. Next up, home workout. So a lot of people feel like if they're working out at home, it's not valid, like it doesn't count. It does, especially if you are going from the couch to doing something. Almost any activity you do counts. You know what I mean? Because your body is going from absolutely no calorie burn outside of what it needs to run your functions from day to day, your heart and your lungs and your brain, to actually exerting energy. So it counts. So I started with home workouts, and a lot of people are like, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this and da da da. And that's great, but Also, because I didn't feel comfortable in my body and I was a bigger person, I didn't want to go to the gym. I felt like people were looking at me, although now I know ain't nobody really worried with you, whether you big or small, unless you just around a group of like mean girl, mean boy people. No one is concerned. If anything, they might try to actually help you. You know what I mean? So home workouts are valid. They do work. You can do them. And also number 14 is just walk. My first maybe 6 weeks was walking in yoga. I couldn't do too much else because my knees hurt. Like when you have an extra 100 pounds on your bones and you're not supposed to, your joints and stuff hurt. I can't jump. I can't do a bunch of getting up and down. Like my body just wasn't able to move in the way that it moves now. So I just increased my steps, which most of my day was spent sitting because I worked at a desk and I came home and sat on the couch. So just going on some walks, increasing my steps was one of the things I did that helped me start to shed some weight and also see that, okay, you can do a little bit more than you think, because I could go from walking a few blocks to maybe a mile, and from a mile to maybe a mile and a half. Those type things just help you see that you are a little stronger than you think. Now, these last, 1, 2, 3, 4 are, I don't think they're actually weird, but I didn't know I did them until I was looking back, because I didn't know what to call these things back then, if that makes sense. But now that I've gone through so many journeys and I help people, you know, with like spiritual coaching, and I've been through therapy myself, I know what, you know, some of these things are called now. So number 15 is identify my weight gain triggers. Like, why am I gaining weight? When did it start? So for me, looking back, I was pretty much like a string bean, green bean type kid up until a certain point. What happened right there? Why did you start gaining weight? And it wasn't oh, you know, you hit womanhood, or your metabolism shifted, whatever these things that people say. And never mind, I'm not gonna get into metabolism and all that right now. Anyways, identifying what happened. And for me, I had home trauma, I had emotional trauma, I had a repressed, what do they call it online now? SA, event, assault, kind of a couple. Anyways, these things make you want to hide yourself, protect yourself. You gain weight, you put on a blanket, that is your cover. So I had to identify, why did I gain weight? And then you start to work through those so you can make sure that as you lose the weight, you don't have things that re-trigger you. And it might not be the same thing yet. Like you might not have another assault that triggers you, but just have things that surround your triggers that can re-trigger you. So that was number 15. Number 16 was I varied or progressed my workouts or my food calories, food intake every 4 to 6 weeks. Again, I wasn't a personal trainer then. I didn't really know about nutrition. I just noticed at a point, you know, okay, so I used to only be able to do 12 of these. I might need to bump it up now. Or this used to be heavy to me, feels kind of light. Maybe I'll either go up on the weight, or maybe I'll do more reps. Or now that I'm doing this activity, I see that I need more of this in my diet. Or now that I'm doing this, I can kind of take this away. I don't need this anymore. Or this portion is now too big now that I can tell my stomach is shrinking. Again, being really conscious of what's going on within you. And I didn't know what to call that back then. I just now see, looking back, because I have a whole notebook that, like, I took notes, I measured myself, all these things as I was losing weight. So I now see and can call out what these things are. Number 17, get someone to hold you accountable. Now it's easy because you have the whole internet and you can post, you know, your workout every day, and you know, people will ask you like, hey, I haven't seen you work out, or, you know, you start a little group and all y'all work out and post together and all that. In 2010, IG wasn't a thing. There wasn't no Snapchat. Facebook was pretty much it. Facebook and maybe MySpace trailing off. So we didn't have that type thing. You had to either have someone face to face or someone you could call. Calling someone, that's crazy. Text me. Having someone you could call, or having someone you paid to keep you accountable, which is eventually what I did, which is also why I became a personal trainer myself, because my friend Fredo that also did personal training, whom I hired to train me after I lost 50 pounds because I got kind of stuck and I didn't know where else to go, and I felt like I needed a professional to assist me. I don't even know what I was saying, but anyways, when you get to a certain point, you need accountability. And for some people, that point is at the beginning. Like, you need someone to make sure in the beginning that you're doing what you need to do. So find an accountability partner. Like I said, now just pure accountability, not making sure you're actually progressing and doing what you need to do and making a regimen for you and all of that. Just having someone hold you accountable is easy because you have the internet. As far as making sure someone is making you a plan to go forward, hire someone. I did, and I'm available. Shameless plug. Anyways, and the very last thing is realizing that it's discipline over motivation all day. You are most likely not going to be motivated to work out and to eat right, because life still lifes as you going on. Like, the world don't stop because you decided you want to lose weight and get healthy. So things at work still gonna be going left. The person who's getting on your nerves at the grocery store still gonna be there. The cashier at the gas station still got an attitude. Somebody's car is gonna break down. You're gonna be responsible to do something on the roof. Like, all that stuff still happens. You're still gonna want to take the easy road and pop by McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever these places people eat at now that I haven't been to a McDonald's in over a decade. Why? But you're still gonna want to do the easy things. Like, you're not gonna be motivated. You're gonna get home from work, you're gonna be tired. You still got the same job and the same responsibilities. I literally had to put my workout clothes right as I stepped in the house. So I would park my car in the garage, open the garage, my clothes would be right there. I had to put my workout clothes on and did not allow myself to sit on the couch, because if my butt hit the couch, I wasn't working out. I know myself. I came in the house, changed my clothes, used the bathroom, and worked out literally from the door, because otherwise there is no motivation. You tired. You got grown people responsibilities, people got kids, people take care of parents, people got after school activities, people are still going to further their education, you trying to get extra certifications. There is no motivation. Motivation literally might just be at the beginning, because you got that little spark, you know, and it's fun and you got this whimsy about it. That dies real quick. Discipline is the only thing that's gonna get you through. You following through with what you said you was gonna do just because you said you were gonna do it. So realizing that it is mostly discipline and not motivation, and not thinking that you're gonna have this motivation to keep you going will actually keep you going. Be disciplined and stick to your word and do it even when you don't want to. I've literally been on the treadmill holding onto the bars with my eyes closed because I was so tired. I've done workout videos with my eyes closed. Like, look up what they say do. Okay. Because I am just exhausted. So it's not motivation, it's discipline. So yeah, that's it. So hopefully somewhere in here I put some before photos. I don't have any photos like at my biggest, because I'm assuming I just stopped taking photos of myself. Again, also, this wasn't the Insta era. Like, we didn't take pictures every 5 minutes back in 2010, 2009, 2008 when I was becoming my plumpest. So I think the last photo I have, if I can find it, it was me in like some jeans and I want to say a tank top from the side. But I want to say that might have been a year or two before, at least a year before I actually lost weight. And my last time I weighed myself before I lost weight, I was 238. And I didn't actually start my weight loss journey until about 6 months later. I didn't weigh myself right when I started my weight loss. I didn't weigh myself till sometime after, maybe a month or so in, because I was like, oh, you're following through this time. We might want to track this. And that's when I got my notebook and started tracking everything. But I say that to say my last weigh-in being 238 and me not starting my weight loss journey for about 6 months in, and knowing the foods I was eating and how many calories they have, and also knowing how many calories it takes to lose a pound, I was either at 250 or higher. Like, I was gaining weight at a rapid rate. Like, it was crazy. I was borderline diabetic and all because of what I was putting in my body. So yeah, hopefully I can put some photos in there. And hopefully I have put some photos in there when I got too small. I got down to the 120s, and I'm in the 165 to 70 now. So if you can imagine this at 120, very, very frail. But my mind was like, you got to keep getting smaller, girl. You got to keep getting smaller. I went from one addiction to the next. But anyways, that is why you have to identify your triggers so you don't just switch addictions. Like, you can switch from food addiction to exercise addiction, or food addiction to food restriction, or whatever the case may be. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I will try to put chapters on the video so you can skip around and go back and that type thing. Happy New Year. Also, as far as New Year goes, if you didn't get your New Year goal worksheets, I posted those a couple videos back. They are free off my website. You can go watch the video, get the link, and download those. You can print them or do them on your little fancy tablets. And yeah, also, like I said, I am a personal trainer and a yoga instructor. All of my clients at this point are virtual, so you do not have to be in Tampa with this freezing 55 degrees. You can be wherever you are with your more freezing degrees, or in the Caribbean in your warmth, and we can work together. So yeah, that is it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I wish you well on your journeys. Leave me questions below, and also leave me a weird tip that you've tried that's worked, or maybe that you know worked for someone else, in the comments. I'll catch you next time. Bye.